It's a long way to the top. If you want to rock and roll, you want to rock and roll? Driving on the highway, going to a show. Stopping on the byway, playing rock and roll. Getting round, getting stoned, getting beat up, throwing bone, getting high, getting shook. That's who you folks. It's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's easy to do one night stands. Try being a rock and roll band. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and welcome to another installment of the 2005 season of the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series. We're here from California for the penultimate race of this season, the Napa 400, here at this Bank 2-miler down in SoCal, for yet another race in this championship hunt as we draw it to a close now. Take a look at your starting lineup for today's races. Ricky Hendrick in the 5 car will be starting on pole today in that Bank of America Chevrolet. Dave Blaney in the 77 with a nice qualifying. He'll start in second place to the outside of the 5 on the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid as Brian Vickers will back up his teammate in third place on that inside line, and Casey Kane will start in the 4th position, one of these 3 main championship contenders. And the man of the hour, Tony Stewart in 5th place. That is your championship leader by just over 80 points, starting in P5. Greg Biffle starts this race in the 6th position. Mike Bliss, Tony Stewart's teammate, will be in 7th place, just behind the 20 car. 8th goes to Ryan Newman in the 12, and Kurt Busch, the last of the main championship contenders, he starts in 9th. Scott Riggs will be P10 today with Jamie McMurray, another teammate, backing up the guy in the front. He'll be 11th in the inside row, just behind the 01 of Kurt Busch. 12th goes to John Andretti, and 13th will be Jeff Burton. 14th goes to Todd Bodine in the 26. Terry Labonte in the 44 car, he'll be P15, and Johnny Sauter in 16th place. Jeremy Mayfield will be in P17 with Kevin Harvick in the 18th position, David Aruneman in 19th, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 20th. 21st goes to Don Thompson Jr. in the 33. Carl Edwards will be in 22nd place, Robbie Gordon in 23rd, and Jeff Gordon in P24. Bobby Labonte will start this race in 25th, and Matt Kenseth in P26. Kyle Busch in the 27th position with Kenny Wallace in P28. 29th goes to Chad Little, and 30th will be Scott Wimmer. 31st will be his teammate Sterling Marlin, and 32nd goes to Joe Nemechek in the 71 car. John Wood will start from 33rd, and Christian Elder in 34th. 35th goes to Dale Jarrett, and the 36th position will be Eric Norris. 37th is Casey Atwood, and Augie Vidovic in 38th. 39th goes to David Green in the 21. Michael Waltrip will be in 40th. Hank Parker Jr. in 41st, and rounding out the field in 42nd will be Mark Martin in the 06 car. 42 cars as always, 75 laps here from California as we get the engine started here for the Napa 400.
Drivers, start your engines!
42 stock cars roar to life as always here from California, with the penultimate race set to get underway in just a short handful of seconds as we take the pace lap. Starting on pole, Ricky Hendrick today, and California, a racetrack that does not usually spell trouble, although we did see a lap 1 turn 1 crash last time out here, which could be important for your championship contenders to try to stay out of it early in the running and keep it clean after the field spreads out a little bit. And also last week at Las Vegas, heartbreak for the 38 of Kasey Kahne, who ran out of fuel towards the end of that race, and it was a near 100-point swing. In fact, more than that, in the favor of the 20 of Tony Stewart, who now leads the standings by 82 going into today's race. He leads it over Kasey Kahne, second in points, and Kurt Busch a little bit of a ways further back in third, 97 behind. This championship not over just yet, but it's going to take a big swing in the favor of the 38 or 01 for either of them to take this championship away from Tony Stewart, who now has 8 wins on this season. And of course, it is also worth noting that it is going to pretty much take a DNF or some sort of sub-20th place run in order for Tony Stewart to cough up the points lead again. And that requires a good run out of the 38 or 01 to surpass him in the points here today. Nonetheless, this championship all but over. Also worth noting, Ricky Hendrick still within a race of the points lead in the 5 car, who starts on pole today. But nevertheless, down off of turn number 4, pace car peels in, and the 5 leads the field to the green, and we are underway here from California. Field will fan out as they always do, racing into turn number 1. Tony Stewart up the middle. Little tiny bit of contact, little bit more contact. Kahne got hit up the racetrack there as Stewart gets aggressive early. Narrowly avoided getting turned there, and out of turn 2, the 20's in front of both of his championship rivals down the backstretch. Ricky Hendrick in the race lead from pole off of turn 2 and into turn 3.
The last time we were here, it was one of the first races of the season. It was Tony Stewart that was in victory lane, and once again, he's up front again, already making these moves and almost wrecked on that first corner. Kasey Kahne also started here in 6th place and managed to fall outside of the top 15. So you'd have to wonder if Kahne has a good starting spot. He's falling back already because he's from the top side. Can he gain those spots back in 9th right now? Has some draft on that number 12 car.
Ain't gonna be a struggle for Kahne, of course. It is every point matters here. Kurt Busch ahead of the 38 as well as Kahne slipped backwards. Busch getting to work on Stewart's teammate, the 81. That's for the 6th position. Tony Stewart climbing up the order early. He's working on rookie Brian Vickers for 2nd place right now as they're side by side down the front stretch, taking lap number 3 at the line.
It's pretty much everyone that we've seen at this racetrack performing well once again here in the fall. I mean, I think it was Vickers who was one of the front runners here last race we were here. He started about 3rd or 4th, and right now he's in 2nd, I believe. If Stewart makes this pass here, he'll be 3rd.
Absolutely. It's been a struggle of a season for Vickers in that 25 car. Entered today, looking at the standings, Vickers entered this race 19th in points. Doesn't have a win in the Cup Series, of course. His first year as a member of Hendrick's Cup team after being promoted from the Busch program last year. He got the jump up this year and fighting with the points leader, Tony Stewart, getting back underneath the 20 down into turn number 1. But, of course, it's been a little bit of a struggle for him this year. He's shown some flashes of speed here and there. He's got 4 top 5s to his name and 5 top 10s. So when he's fast, he is very fast, but it's been a struggle to try and find that rhythm, of course, and trying to salvage something out of this season late in the year. Might have a quick car today, but of course, only lap number 4 right now, so we'll see how the day advances as we continue. Kurt Busch in the 01 car works his way into the 3rd position now, has the points leader Stewart up in front of him through the windshield. Ricky Hendrick still leading this race, and the 20 and 01 looking to chase him down 2nd and 3rd behind that 5.
Now, I'll go back to Vickers here, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He had 4 wins last year in the Busch Series. He finished 6th in front of Jason Keller, Regan Smith, and John Wood, who's going to, I think, believe he's already in that 6 car and planning on for the next year. As a rookie right now, we're not expecting him to win. Obviously not. I don't think we expect any rookie to win unless you're Jeff Gordon. But in this case, Brian Vickers right now in 4th. He's proving that he has the speed to be a Hendrick driver. And I think that's all you need to prove right now.
Absolutely, even though it's been a season of ups and downs, he is by far the best rookie of this season, Mike Bliss, who is not a rookie, but made his return to the Cup Series with Gibbs this season. Just behind him in the standings, he sits 20th. Bliss has maybe arguably been the better driver, had a couple D&Qs without the owner's points benefit at the early part of the season, but has salvaged a top 20 in points nonetheless, 110 back of Vickers entering today. And John Wood, despite the fact that he won a race in Bristol and was sitting around top 10 in the points early in the year, has fallen down. It's all the way down in 24th place. Wood, also worth noting, one of these drivers, he's been on the other end of the lack of experiences. That car, who he runs all the way outside the top 40 at the moment. Wood has completed some of the least laps of the season out of anybody who's attempted all 35 races this year. I believe he is the absolute minimum. Might only be one or two drivers lower than him in laps completed. It's been the DNFs that have bit the 6 car this year. And Scott Riggs, of course, another rookie. He joined the newly formed PPC Cup team this year to stick with the organization that he won a championship with in the Busch Series. He runs 29th in the standings. PPC didn't have a lot of expectations into this year. They expected to be a little better than that, but nonetheless, it was a struggle for them at the start of the year and through the mid-portion as well, just really trying to keep away from the DNFs and just try to salvage good results. They'd always fallen apart towards the end of races this season, but the one main goal that they achieved so far this season and appear to be able to hold on to at the end of this year, they haven't D&Q'd a race this season, and that is the number one expectation they wanted to hold on to, and Riggs has done a good job of avoiding that this year. They made it into the top 30 in owners for quite a significant portion of the season, and despite the ups and downs and the fact that they haven't put a lot of good runs together, Riggs has proven the fact that he belongs in that seat with PPC and the team that he helped form going into this year. A lot of drivers you might not expect to see back here towards the back end of the field. Matt Kenseth has also been having a rough day. It's been the story of that for Roush, really, in the back half of the season. This team has had a rough go-around. Towards the back end of the year, it's just kind of fallen apart for them. Matt Kenseth still winless on the year with just 2 races left. Excuse me. And that 17 running outside the top 30. Of course, Mark Martin also qualified dead last in the main qualifying session for this race. He's up to 31st place now. In fact, I believe he is in the top 30 past the 21 car now, but 3 Roush cars that are all the way in the back quarter of this field right now, just struggling to find pace late in the year. Martin said he had doubts about even finishing this year going into this week after the D&Q last time out at Vegas. Was just really doesn't feel like he has his head in the game, but he said, I want to finish out my Roush campaign strong, and I'd rather not back out and be a quitter. So the 06 car still running these last 2 races despite the considerations of backing out and focusing on the Yates tenure next year. He running the last 2 races this season here at California, and then Miami next week to finish out the year in that 06 car. But a lot of stories surrounding this garage. Casey Kane, outside the top 20, is that 38 car now. He's had a bit of a struggle to open up this race, running 24th at the line that time by. Got stuck on the outside and just has not had the early speed. Despite the good qualifying position, he's fallen backwards hardcore. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, get an update here as Kurt Busch is in the race lead. Gonna look back and see if the 20 led any laps here. They went 3 wide for the lead. What a move by Kurt Busch to take that first spot away when Tony was challenging for it. So the 01 out front right now. Top 3 still the 01, 20, and 5. These cars looking strong early in the running here. Vickers not too far off in the 25. Robbie Gordon in the 31 rounds out the top 5 from 5th place right now. But the top 3 under a blanket. Here's Ricky Hendrick trying to challenge with Tony Stewart for second, but couldn't quite do it.
Takes a lot of draft at this track to get a run built up. And once you get into the corner, you gotta have a great corner, because if you don't, you get tight, you're gonna fall out and you're gonna lose all that draft you had from that car in front.
Absolutely. And one thing that's worth noting at California, the outer line, a great line for defense at this racetrack. Usually
For
the
sure.
outside really likes to prevail in side-by-side battles, especially if you're by yourself. It takes a lot to get by people at this place. We do see it quite often, but despite that, it is still the better line for defense. And if you get stuck up on the outside with a driver trying to get underneath you for position, it is definitely not the end of the story in that battle. The guys on the outside typically like to prevail at this racetrack, and we've seen that. Tony Stewart defending Ricky Hendrick and prevailing on the outside a couple times so far. And Kurt Busch still leading in front of these guys, keeping the 20 at bay. Mike Bliss fighting with Robbie Gordon for the 5th position. A nice run out of that 81 car. We've seen a lot of those so far through this season. And he fights with one of the drivers who's been a part of this championship talk for pretty much the entire year, but as the year falls out, we expected people to fall out of this championship hunt. Robbie Gordon's not out of it mathematically yet. He entered this race a little over 170 back. It was 177. He was the last real one that has a chance at this championship in the final 2 races, and running behind 2 of 3 of the points leader is not looking like it. He has to be within 148 in order to have a shot at the championship going into Miami. Ricky Hendrick was one of those drivers as well in that 5 car who qualified on pole and led the laps early in this race. And he was within a race of the championship points lead going into today. As we mentioned earlier, it's 138 going into today, but he needs to finish in front of Stewart preferably if he wants to be able to be within this championship. And he has a shot at it, but of course, Tony Stewart probably going to require a DNF out of that 20 car for really anybody to have much more than just an outside shot going into Homestead next week.
Good to see 2 of the playoff, or at least, excuse me, not playoff, the 2 of the main contenders for the championship right now up front. Got a feel for Casey, but I mean, if Kurt Busch can hold himself and Tony Stewart has a bad pit stop, a problem, an engine problem even, I think Kurt Busch could make a huge run if he gets enough points.
Absolutely. It sure felt like a playoff the whole year, given how close these guys have been in the championship all season long. We've seen 5, 01, 38, 31 even be up there in the mix for the points lead. Tony Stewart's led some points here and there as well. And it's just been so close between these guys. We've talked about 8 or 9 drivers being amidst the title fight at various points in the year. Just a whole lot of different people leading the points. Kurt Busch has been one of them, of course, and that 01 car, every single time he's led the points this season, it's been a bad result afterwards. I've talked about it pretty much the entire year, especially in the later points of the season. That 01 car performs better when he's working with a deficit. The 01 car has been better when he's trying to make up points on guys further back in the standings, and today looking no different, leading the early laps and looking stronger on the longer run, of course. Tire wear matters at this racetrack quite a lot, and he's certainly proving to be really quick later on the tire life, and comfortably in front of the 20 of Tony Stewart right now. Has been leading these laps after making that 3-wide move for the race lead, but the 20 has not fallen out of the mirror yet. That Target Dodge still trying to defend that Home Depot Chevrolet just behind him in second place. Here's Robbie Gordon joining this group. It is 4 of the top 5 in points, all in this battle for the lead, and that's where you find the missing member, Casey Kane, who is still outside the top 20 right now. It is a bad day for the 38, and exactly when you weren't hoping for it. And you gotta imagine that race last week at Las Vegas down in Sin City when he ran out of fuel from the lead in what seemed like a surefire points gain for that 38 team. Ooh, as that was contact right behind him, Ryan Newman gets chased up the hill by Christian Elder. Good hold by the 12
Interesting
Newman.
there.
Man, they got hooked up together there, but anyway, back on topic is Casey Kane. You gotta imagine that 38 has faced so many gut-wrenching losses this season, and that might just be the one that did him in. And motivation might have never been lower for him going into this race after losing the points lead. You seemed sure to keep, even if he had finished behind Tony Stewart, you just wanted to finish a couple spots behind and keep it within 20 or 30 into the next race at California, and instead enters today over 80 points behind. That is exactly what they weren't looking for, and of course, with such a deficit to work with, you gotta imagine the pressure's mounting, and with them running as poor as they are right now, it's a struggle for sure. But nonetheless, not over. We've seen that 38 car go strong later on in races this season, all year long. So it's just going to be a matter to see if they can do that yet again. It's been their strong suit the whole year to try and make adjustments. That's what them and their crew have been the best at this year. So it's just going to be a matter of trying to climb up. But you got to imagine Casey's tired of working with deficits and trying to cut his way back through the field for the good finishes this year. Nonetheless, at the line, it'll be 20 laps completed, the leaders already having taken that margin. Battle for the lead as Kurt Busch and Tony Stewart are dueling for the first position into turn 1. Bush on the outside and Stewart on the inside, but Tony not able to get clear of the 0-1 as Bush has the run back down the backstretch off of turn 2. A little bit of draft help for Stewart on the bottom as Ricky Hendrick trails the 20 on the low line. No, instead Hendrick takes it 3 wide into turn 3.
Interesting choice here. Let's see if it works.
Ended up being costly for the 0-1 of Kurt Busch. Tony Stewart going to take 5 bonus points as he leads his first lap of the day. Hendrick could not keep it pinned on the bottom line there, and through the middle, Stewart has the lead.
A perfect example of that middle lane working for defense. Perfectly got Stewart back to the lead.
And of course, you talked about it as we've got issues 44 car, as Terry Labonte is having some issues with his engine. Managed to get out of the way of traffic, and no smoke coming out of the 44 car. So imagining we will stay green here. But looking like Labonte is going to have an early end to his day with an engine problem reported over the radio. Looking like he's down power and, of course, pulling off to the inside here. No smoke, though, and no impediment of traffic, so Labonte will get to the pits safely here, and this race will stay green with the 20 of Stewart still in the lead.
Got to think about pit stops pretty soon here. I don't think they can run a little longer here on these tires, or the fuel mainly.
Yeah, see, it is around 25-30 or longer on the pit stops and pit cycles here. So imagining they'll be coming in the near future. Was going to mention Tony Stewart, winner of the race here in the spring, and that is, of course, worth considering. And that 20 entered today having won back-to-back races. And worth noting, Stewart's won back-to-back races on 2 other occasions this season other than the current one, 3 in total for the 20 car. And every time he's won back-to-back races, he's then followed it up by winning 3 of 4. It could be possible that he could string together his first 3-win streak this season with a strong run here today, first quarter of the race. And we're seeing pit stops now, a lot of back markers in the pit lane. And Kurt Busch jumped on the opportunity early, trying to short pit here, but it's just prior to a third of the laps completed. And Tony Stewart in the 20 will be coming in this time. Robbie Gordon in the 31 car stays out on the racetrack. Pretty much everybody else coming in here.
I think short pitting here is the good way to go. I mean, if you're one of the first cars to come down pit road, you get more speed coming off. And I think the speed here at Auto Club especially is going to be a factor here when you guys come off pit road. So I wouldn't be surprised if that 20 car comes out in second instead of first.
Going to be tight to see where the 01 car comes out. It was a very quick pit stop for Kurt Busch. He got away very cleanly. And we'll see what the deal is here as Casey Kane also pulls into his pit box just in front of Tony Stewart. But that 20 car entering the pits in the lead, looking like one of the cars to beat early. Jamie McMurray was pulling up on the 20 late in that run. But Stewart will exit the pits in front of the 40 as Kurt Busch crossing the front stretch here. The tire wear is important at this racetrack. We see so much lap time fall off at a place like this, and Kurt Busch trying to catch up, but Stewart is a long way in front. And we saw it in the Busch race. Pitting later, despite the tire deficit, seemed to be the better move. And looks like Kurt Busch is going to only be around third place, with the 20 holding a big lead now.
Wow, I mean, that's exactly what I didn't think was going to happen, but that's an interesting outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tony Stewart holding on to a comfortable race lead. That is exactly what both Kurt Busch and Casey Kane don't want to see. Going to look back at the 38 car and find out where he is running. Still around the same people. He's got Jarrett, Blaney, Newman, Kenseth, and others back there in the mix with him. So we'll get a look in a couple of laps when everybody's cycled out to find out who is running where. But Kurt Busch runs in the third position, and Tony Stewart, your points leader, running in first, trying to walk away with this championship as he leads with just over a third of this race completed. Ooh, and we have problems now. 52 of Vidovic had a tire go down. Didn't get in the way of traffic, and it was good timing because he pulls into the pit lane, so another mechanical problem that will not result in a caution, as he managed to make it into the pit lane right on time and didn't really get in the way of traffic himself, so the racetrack's still green. Stewart catching some breaks from the race lead, and the 52 takes 4 tires. McMurray in the 40 car, a little bit of a ways back, the one that was running down Stewart. These Ganassi cars coming out quick, but they've got the 20 to beat, who is way out in front. Casey Kane in the 38 car, look back at where he's running. He's now outside the top 30. So Kane really needing a way to turn his race around and looking all but out of it right now with where he runs.
That's just such a bad day for that 38 car. You gotta feel for him.
It's the absolute toughest outcome, exactly what you didn't want. You were still within striking distance. 80 points, 82 points is definitely not insurmountable. And especially given that Stewart still could DNF somewhere. Miami has seen some wild wrecks before, but just to come into today with that need to finish at least close to the 20 and be running as poorly as you are after qualifying in front, that's gotta hurt. So it is still 20, 40, 01, your top 3. Ricky Hendrick and Mike Bliss round out the top 5. Jeff Gordon just behind in the 6th position. Robbie Gordon running in P7. 8th goes to Vickers in the 25. Rudiman having another good run today. He is in the 8th position, just behind, or excuse me, in 9th. Just behind his number 25 teammate and 10th. Jeff Burton in the 99 car, rounding out your top 10 after just over a third of this race completed. Tony Stewart cruising out front right now. He is dominating once again and looking like he is going to cruise to what could be an unchallenged victory today, but of course still a lot of race left for the 20 of Tony Stewart. It is important, of course, worth considering Tony Stewart has led so many laps this season. He's led over 400, and that 20 car, even despite the fact that pretty much everybody has had a worse average finish this year than they have last year, given how competitive it's been this season, Tony Stewart has led more laps that he's been on the racetrack. Of course, total of laps led completed. That is the stat looking for the 20 car that we're looking at right now. He's led over, I believe it was 18 this season, 18% of the laps that he's been on the racetrack he's led. Some sort of high number like that. That 20 car has led more laps that he's been on the racetrack this season than Jimmy Johnson's championship run last year, that 48 car, who's been absent for the majority of this season. Just an absolutely unbelievably dominant year for the 20, and now we got the 19 car. Vibration recorded by Kyle Busch, who runs in the 25th position. P number 25 for that 19. Staying on the racetrack, though, and keeping it up to speed despite the problem for him. That 19 with a bit of a tire/suspension issue on his race car right now, but still on the racetrack. Seeing a lot of mechanical problems being reported today, but none of them have resulted in cautions yet. Battle for the 3rd position on the racetrack right now as Kurt Busch is falling backwards to the wayside a little bit. Ricky Hendrick in the 5 and Jeff Gordon, his teammate, in the 24, fighting for 3rd on the racetrack right now. Side by side down the backstretch, and Jeff Gordon pulling in front of his Bank of America number 5 teammate as the 24 takes 3rd place. And battle for the lead is Jamie McMurray trying to help out his teammate a little bit. That 40 car looking for the lead on the 20 of Tony Stewart off of turn 4. Stewart using the top to his advantage to stay in front of the 40 car for the race lead.
Now, you gotta wonder, we've had a lot of mechanical failures today. You gotta wonder if it's gonna happen to one of these big guys here. And also, Jamie McMurray has just been doing very good today. That silver bullet is acting like a silver bullet today. Only 2 wins on the season, but he's doing very good today. Hopefully getting a good points day to bump him up a little bit in those point standings.
Absolutely. McMurray has had a breakout season. Last year, he spent a season in GNS, a part of that Ganassi program, as they demoted him after a full-time stint in Cup in 2003. It was a bit lackluster. McMurray came back firing, and a lot of the season was the bridesmaid this year. Lost out on a couple of wins late in multiple races in the first third of the season. Took a pair of wins, both one on fuel mileage at Michigan and one on speed at Kansas. It's been a great season for him up to this point in the year. Not quite a championship contender. He runs 10th in the standings, a little bit of a ways back, but the points are very close between him and the next couple guys in the top 10 in the standings. He's just 8 points behind Bobby Labonte in 9th, and a little bit further it would be 53 behind Matt Kenseth, and that 17 running a long way down the order. He is 28th right now, and the 18 car, Bobby Labonte, in 12th, a bit of a ways back, and it would just be a couple positions that would give him a position to the 40, or the 40 to the 18, so he would definitely make up those spots. Gonna keep checking up on your championship contenders. Kane's still going nowhere, running 32nd. He's even lost out to the 12 and 17, who he was running with at portions of the day. Just running out of time to make corrections to his tough day so far and really wanting a caution right now. Kurt Busch still in the mix back here in the top 5. He fights with the 81 of Bliss, 5 of Ricky Hendrick. That's for the 5th position. Battle for the lead is still continuing as McMurray is still pestering that 20 of Stewart for the lead. Has been unable to clear him for first. Not sure if he had the lead at any point. He did not. Stewart still fighting him off and sticking on the outside to hold the race lead over the 40. Bobby Gordon and Jeff Gordon fighting for 3rd and 4th back there just behind these race leaders. McMurray drops off of Stewart this time. Has tried so hard to get around him for the race lead, but just unable to find that gap and get past and clear that 20 for the lead. Hasn't even led a lap yet, but still putting pressure on the Home Depot Chevrolet for first. Half of this race now completed as Tony Stewart still comfortably leading. Kurt Busch has fallen back down to 7th, which is not something he'd like to be doing with the 20 car continuing to rack up laps led. He is enjoying a comfortable lead right now, but Kurt Busch's teammate McMurray is not too far behind that 20, sitting in the 2nd position. Kevin Harvick has found his way into the top 10 as well. That 29 car running in the 8th position. Bobby Labonte in 9th. And Carl Edwards continuing his late season strength. He's running in the 10th position in the 97 car. It's been a comfortable late season for him, and one that he's absolutely loving having, given that it was a struggle fight early in the year. Struggling to even stay top 20 in the points for an early portion. Had a rough race last week at Vegas, dropped back down to 17th. Lost 3 point positions in the points, but it's been a good year for him later in the year, and putting together a couple top 5 runs, something that had been missing in his early portion of the season, but another Roush car that's winless up to this point in the year. He runs 17th in the points, just in front of his teammate Jeff Burton, who is 18th. And trying to put together yet another top 10 run for him here today. It's been a season of consistency, but outside winning potential consistency for Carl Edwards this year. Battle for the lead is still on. Tony Stewart and Jamie McMurray are still fighting for first. McMurray still not able to dispose of the 20 just yet. That 20 of Tony Stewart still on the outside. But McMurray might be able to get him on corner entry this time. Stewart trying to drive it in on the mid-corner, but that is... Oh, he's going to have the run this time. Corner exit, but McMurray throwing the block.
Blocked it. Whoa.
Man, that was close between the two leaders. But McMurray cuts him off, and he's got first. I don't think Stewart's going to like that one too much.
I would not be surprised if I see the bird out that window. That was a huge moment there.
Ooh, and he scares him back up the racetrack.
There he goes.
Definitely impatient with the 40, who just threw that block off of turn number 4. Back down on the inside, side by side down the backstretch. McMurray trying to do what Stewart's been doing to him the whole time, and he clears him back on the outside. Cuts him.
Wow, that was a huge cut right there. Stewart definitely got tight, and then McMurray just cut the air off there too. A good defensive battles here we're seeing, and these guys are not showing any respect for each other. So you're getting that good racing.
Yeah, it results in two aspects really between these two, as McMurray trying to help out his teammate Kurt Busch, who is still losing time to these race leaders and falling backwards, still in the 7th position, fighting with Ricky Hendrick for 6th. But yeah, of course, and McMurray obviously probably running out of patience for Tony Stewart, as he had been overtaken and re-overtaken on the outside a couple of times trying to get past the 20, probably running out of patience trying to get past that 20 car for the race lead, and had the opportunity to cut him off and make sure that he held the lead once he got clear, and absolutely threw a huge block off of turn 4, and also cut him off in turn 4 the next lap, trying to hold off that 20 car for the race lead, which he now possesses in front of your points leader in 2nd. And these two a long way ahead of 3rd place Robbie Gordon, Jeff Gordon in 4th, and Mike Bliss rounding out the top 5 right now. Expecting our next pit stop soon-ish. It should be around lap 50, maybe a couple of laps earlier. We will see when these guys elect to come into pit lane. With the next pit window looming, 40 and 20 still deadlocked in this battle for the lead. Lap traffic up ahead, that's the 52 of Vidovic, who came back out on the racetrack after shredding a tire. Little bit of a ways in front of these race leaders. Looking back through the field, Casey Kane in the 38 has picked up a little bit of speed on the back end of this run, but still seeming like it's too little too late. Needing a caution is that 38 car. Just behind Ryan Newman in the 12, who sits in 26th. Looking at the rest of this group, it's still Kurt Busch in 7th. Robbie Gordon running in the 3rd position, and Ricky Hendrick, of course, still within a race of this championship, but with where Stewart's running, would be knocked out of it. And he runs in 6th. Stewart, your points leader, 2nd place, and Jimmy McMurray leading this race with 30 laps to go here from California as this season continues to wind on down. Battle for the lead has resumed, and Tony Stewart made very quick work of the 40 of Jamie McMurray that time, as the 20 retakes first, which he's really not wanted to relinquish today in order to try and capitalize and take away this championship. Pit stops are now beginning as the 51 car and 88 car are the first two to come in. See if Kurt Busch pits in early again. In fact, he already did. The 01 car is already on pit road. Trying to shortcut yet again.
Didn't work last time. We'll see if it works this time, because Stewart stays out a lap extra this time.
And
So
tell you what, Kurt Busch long hold in the pits here.
Oh boy. Not good.
Not
Looks
sure
like an
what the
adjustment
deal
or
was. That was
something.
a 22-second pit stop. Not sure if there was damage on the 01. Might have been looking like a little bit of dent on the right side, and Kurt Busch, and everything going wrong for everybody except for Tony Stewart today. And coming into the pits now, 20 and 40 are in on lap number 49. 81 car in as well. Robbie Gordon stays out on the racetrack. Yet another lap. Casey Kane in the 38, looking like he's going to play the opposite end of the fuel game this time. It'll be lap number 50 as the 38 stays out. That could be important for the championship hunt as he stays on the racetrack and Stewart in a little bit earlier.
If he gets up to the lead here and stays out like another lap or so, he might get an extra lap lead point, which could mean something if he can get a good finish, like a caution comes out late. It will be very interesting to see how this plays out.
Robbie Gordon, the 31, in from the race lead. Jeff Gordon follows him in. Would imagine Kane comes in this time, and he is going to be pitting in from where he was running in 9th, staying out on the racetrack. But, of course, Kane, you got to make something work here, and he's looking like he's trying to cut a pit stop out of this race. And we'll see how it works out for him here. 50 coming to 51. Just really needing some sort of spark. That's what you need in this race, given that he's been struggling all day today and trying to make something work. Tony Stewart has a huge margin over Jamie McMurray right now. And that 01 car of Kurt Busch falls way backwards in this race after that long pit stop. Again, it is all coming up Tony Stewart in this championship hunt. Casey Kane leaving the pit lane in the 38 car as he gets back underway. Just inside 25 laps to go. And again, Tony Stewart has a huge margin for this race lead as he could be in position to clinch this championship now with where he runs. But worth considering, he could run out of fuel at the end of this thing, and Casey Kane is closer than really anybody to making it to the end of this thing. The 38 stayed out longer than anybody. And of course, a couple of other cars that have been staying out that long. Robbie Gordon has been staying out a lengthier period in the 31. Jeff Gordon in the 24, as well as a couple others. Kane would probably finish back into the top 10 if things work out the way he's hoping. Kurt Busch is now outside the top 20 with those damage repairs, but he's got a fast race car underneath him at least, something the 38 has not shown signs of today. So he could make up those positions, but it's just going to be a tough scene for that 01 to try and make up the deficit that he now holds to that 20 car. And let's get a look here at what the championship margin would be as Tony Stewart continues to lead this race. Get a check. It would be 185 points for Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch 102, so it would be a 83-point swing, and that would put Kurt Busch out of the championship. So Tony Stewart is within realm of clinching this championship a race early now, with just over 20 laps to go, that 20 in prime position to take home this championship.
And it would not be surprising. Fastest car here last time. Fastest car today. He's held off fights from McMurray, Kurt Busch, and multiple other drivers. It's a good run and a great car from that 20 team. I would not be surprised if he sees that championship given to him a race early.
And it would be, unfortunately, it would be an anticlimactic way to end this championship with how close it was and how much we talked about people swapping the lead. That 20 car looking to walk away with it. Today would be his 9th win on the season. Last time we saw 9 wins, was Jimmy Johnson in 2003, in which he fell victim to Jeff Gordon, and the 24 won the championship with 4 less wins on the season. It was a 5-win season for the 24 that year, in which he took the championship at this very race. It was at California, this race holding host to the Ford 400 for a couple of years prior, before Miami took the championship stead in place of California going into this year. Robbie Gordon's taken second place, the 31 car, running in front of the 40 of Jamie McMurray, who was looking to be the challenger for Tony Stewart to win this race today. 20 laps to go here from California. That gap slowly shrinking as the 31 looks to try and get in front and take this race lead away from Tony Stewart. Kurt Busch back there still. That 01 trying to make up some positions right now, but hasn't really gone anywhere. It's 22nd right now. And both him and Casey Kane needing a spark in this race to win or even be close to this championship late in this season. Tony Stewart looking to walk away with it right now inside the final 20 laps, but still fuel a question mark here in this race. We'll see what happens with Tony Stewart in the race lead. Robbie Gordon looking to chase him down in that 31 car, not too terribly far behind in that singular wireless Chevrolet. Battle for the lead now, as Robbie Gordon in the 31 is going to be Tony Stewart's next challenger, approaching 15 laps to go, 16 this time. And man, Robbie Gordon made quick work of the 20, and he's up and into first place now. Not a surprise either, given that Robbie Gordon on fresher tires pitting later. 15 laps to go now for the 31, who has taken the race lead for the first time today. Stewart drops a position, but Kurt Busch back in the 01 car, starting to make up some ground. He's running in 16th, I believe it is now. Might be 17th. We'll see at the line here. He just got past the 26 at Todd Bodine. Doing his best to mitigate the deficit. And 00 car has a tire going down.
That's another car with another tire going down and almost just cut down on Dale Jarrett and Dale Jr., who are right next to each other.
Was not a danger to the racetrack, so we are still green yet again. 2 tires go on the 00 car as he will get back on the racetrack. That was close there for the 88 and 8 car, but still not a yellow. We've seen 3 mechanical failures now that did not result in cautions. And as a result, we soldier on, and Casey Kane and Kurt Busch are still stuck back where they are at the moment. Matt Kenseth fights with the 01. That's for 16th place.
Still in 29.
Kane just unable to salvage anything out of today's race. Stewart
And another fight.
fighting with Jamie McMurray. And we're having
forgetting
another
that
problem.
guy.
That's Todd Bodine
Oh,
blowing
what?
up. Get a look back at this. And that one will be a caution with smoke piling out of that thing right in the middle of traffic.
And that is going to change a lot in this race.
Caution flag comes out. That changes everything here today.
And just at the time, Jamie McMurray took the lead back as well. So that could be something here if we get a late race pit stop here. Which, I don't know. I mean, these guys seem like they were good on fuel. These runs stretched over 25 laps at least. And the last pit cycle was before 25 laps left in the race. So maybe.
Robbie Gordon in the 31 car comes back to have the lead at the caution flag. Jamie McMurray just got around Tony Stewart for second.
Oh.
That bunches
Did not
everything
notice.
back up. And we will see if we get any form of pit stops here. Under this caution flag, Kurt Busch will be breathing a sigh of relief with a chance to pick some spots back up on this restart. California, always a track where you like to fan out and guys make a lot of moves on the starts, so we'll see what happens here as everybody bunches back up. Lucky Dog will go to the 52 car, or excuse me, actually it'll be the 00, who was not the cause of that caution, so Michael Waltrip will be back on the lead lap. And looking like everybody's going to stay out here. Oh, maybe not. Couple of pitters. And Kurt Busch in the 01 is going to be one of them.
Well, that's an interesting call from that team. I thought if I were Kurt Busch, I would have come down if Tony Stewart came down.
Well, honestly, tell you what, tires are so important at this racetrack, of course. The lap time difference is major at this place. So Kurt Busch trying to make the call. Again, you got to do something. When you're worse off, that 20 car's obviously been better than the 38. Maybe not quite the 01. It's been close between those two. But tires are going to be important here, and you want to make anything happen, and Kurt Busch is going to try and take matters into his own hands here. It's going to be a 2-tire stop, I believe.
And I think I mean, now I'll make the case for it. I mean, there's about 15 laps to go in this race. It's going to be a long enough run to where I think tires are going to fall off to a point where maybe Kurt Busch's tires here will be a benefit. I think it's a good choice to make if you're that 01 team. It'll be pretty interesting to see here what happens. He's going to be pretty far back in the field.
Absolutely. And of course, it's important to consider that Kurt Busch was one of the drivers who was pitting earlier under those green flag pit stops, so unlikely that he would have made it to the end on fuel. You want to top off on fuel. You want to be good to go. So in both forms, Kurt Busch really probably needed to make that pit stop, and we'll see what the tires do for him. It was only a 2-tire stop. I would have thought 4 tires, but given that it's so late in the race, these guys just want as much track position as they can get as well. And he probably would have lost a couple extra positions to slower cars if he had taken 4 tires there. So it'll be a 2-tire stop. Casey Kane gained some positions from that, and that's important for him. And Tony Stewart a long way up the road for Kurt Busch here. And problems for the 6 as John Wood is having a fuel system issue. So another DNF, as they're going to pull him off the racetrack this next time. We'll take you to intermission here from California. Inside the final 10 laps with Robbie Gordon leading this race, and this championship could be over soon here. Back from intermission here at California. Tony Stewart going to be restarting in third, your points leader. This is going to be important here. Kurt Busch, a little bit of a ways back on 2 tires. He's going to be restarting in the 28th position. Top 5 goes Robbie Gordon, McMurray, Stewart, Jeff Gordon, and then the 81 of Mike Bliss. be giving a lap plus here to the 00 car. Not sure where exactly he is. But he will be back on the lead lap here. Pace car going to peel off. 31, your race leader. Back to the restart as we are back green.
A great start from that 30 or 31 car. You gotta wonder what'll happen behind these guys. They get really tricky here on these restarts.
Stewart tried to jump underneath McMurray for second place, couldn't find the grip. Here come Ricky Hendrick and Jeff Gordon, the two Hendrick machines, to split the 23 wide into turn 3.
We'll be close here. Stewart
got very loose in the middle of the corner there.
He had the middle lane, and as we know, the middle lane's one of the faster here, and that's what Stewart used to get by. And here's McMurray on the leader once more.
Battle for the lead. Robbie Gordon and Jamie McMurray fight for first with just 7 laps to go as they enter turn 1. Stewart in a duel with Jeff Gordon for third. That's the 24 on the outside, trying to make use of the better line for the battles. Down the backstretch, the two leaders side by side. McMurray edging ahead down the backstretch. The 40 trying to take away first. And into turn 3, he is going to have that move made. The 40 back into P1. Stewart trying to clear Gordon for third and does.
And you want to think, though, even though they're fighting for that lead, you want to hold off so you don't lose those runs and let the 20 car get to you. The 01 is navigating this huge traffic here because of Vidovic's slow car. I don't know if he'll get enough spots here, but that 39 car, though, is getting some spots here.
Ooh,
so
right,
we'll see what happens as they almost wreck.
Casey Kane is into the top 15. We talk about coming alive late. He is pulling back through. He's into the top 15 and making up spots that he needed. Kurt Busch, on the other hand, is going absolutely nowhere in the midst of 3 deep outside the top 20. All these battles, Kane was on the bottom of 4 wide the last lap through. He's into now 12th, doing everything he can to make up the margin to Stewart, who is up in front. I don't believe Stewart would be clinching over the 38 with where he's running right now. It'd be close, though. But Kane trying to make up the ground that he can. He's fighting with Kyle Busch now for P11. 5 laps to go, coming to 4 at the line. McMurray is trying to run away with this race. Kane with the run on Kyle Busch for 11th place down the front stretch. Had a really good exit for being on the bottom. The 38's going to get past the 19 as they head towards turn 1. Kane is a man on a mission right now with just 4 laps left. Robbie Gordon closing in on Jamie McMurray for the race lead to try to make one more challenge for first. Kane still got some positions in front of him that he can make up. Tony Stewart could still challenge for this race win right now with the 40 and 31 right in front of him. He's got a big run on the 31 out of turn 4. 3-horse race for the lead with 3 laps to go at the line.
This will be interesting here. We'll see if Stewart can get to that 40 car. Been faster all day, though. He's looking to the inside here. Not going to be enough in that first corner, but Robbie Gordon might add something. Here comes Jeff Gordon. Following the same line Stewart does, looks like Gordon will get that second spot back. We'll see what Kane has been doing up front as well. He's gotten all the way into the top 10 now. I wasn't expecting this run from that 38 car, but here he is back in the spot where he started in, and he's still gaining ground. Faster than the 16 car, it looks like, off turn 4, and maybe even faster than the 5 car. This is going to help him very much if he can get something good here. Points-wise.
Casey Kane breathing one last breath of life into this championship run. What a run in the back half of this race as he's now into the top 10. He had been top 20 the entire race after the start. Trying to fight with Ricky Hendrick, that's for 9th. Battle for the lead has continued, and Robbie Gordon's taken the lead away with just 2 laps to go.
holding the fort down as well, backing up on that 20 car to make him back up his entrance as well. And that helped a lot there. The 24 to the inside, looking for something there. And maybe McMurray here, but he's not going to be aggressive this time.
Last lap
goodness.
here from California as Robbie Gordon leads this race, trying to come home with the win. Jeff Gordon fighting with Tony Stewart for second. Casey Kane still making up spots as he's fighting for the 8th position. 22 car was getting back on the racetrack from a pit stop there as Kane right behind his teammate Chad Little.
You got to think Little gives up the spot for that 28 car, for that 38 car. Robbie Gordon, though, finished second in the Busch race yesterday. Is this the redemption?
Robbie Gordon came up short yesterday. He'll be the winner today. He wins it, his 4th of the season here from California. Stewart finishes in 3rd. Casey Kane all the way back to 8th. What a run by the 38 to keep his championship hopes alive here today as he finishes top 10. I do believe he is within the realm of winning the championship still. Kurt Busch in the 01 car was a long, long way back. He finishes in 22nd. That might be it for his championship hopes.
That is the opposite of what we expected. We thought the 01 car would come back through the field. But that 38 car, I don't know what happened, but wow. Kane turned on those burners and he went straight to the top 10. What a great race for that 38 car. Unexpectedly, too.
Absolutely, and Chad Little, ever the good teammate, gave the 38 a position coming back to the flag there as he dropped behind into P number 9 while Kane finished in 8th. A great race here today for sure, and that concludes race number 35. We will update you on the points before we finish up the broadcast here today, with Robbie Gordon taking home the victory. As let's get a look at the championship standings after this race here today from California. Give me just a minute to process this race in the championship standings system here. Race number 35. Here from the 13th of November in 2005, the Napa 400 completed. So Stewart, of course, will open up that championship lead just a little bit. It is 110 points between him and Kane. Not impossible for the 38 to win the championship, but Stewart has it all but locked up. He's just got to finish next race, you'd imagine, in order to take home the championship at Homestead. Kurt Busch officially eliminated from championship contention. He's 170 back in 3rd. That'll do it here from California, with Robbie Gordon taking home his 4th victory of the season, comfortably so, after that late race pass. And get a look back at this overtake for the race lead as he got underneath McMurray with just 2 laps to go here in turn number 1. Stewart tried to go 3 wide up the middle. What a move by the 20 to try and take that position away. So close. But Robbie Gordon with the grip on the bottom, the better tires later in the race, and he managed to get around him and hold on. And back to the flag, your winner here from California as he takes home the win. It's the Gordon and Gordon show up front. Jeff Gordon finishes in 2nd place after this long race here today. But next week, it'll be the championship finale from Homestead for the Ford 400. It'll be a fun one, as always, to get that one on the air for the final race of what has been, no doubt, a spectacular Coca-Cola Cup Series season here in 2005 to round off this year. And Robbie Gordon, of course, your winner here today after a long one, and he comes out on top with the better tires at the end. Thank you all for watching. Of course, it's been a pleasure to have you along. We got one more left. It'll be this weekend here from Miami. But we'll catch you then. I'm Caden Reif on behalf of Lob, joining me in the booth tonight. Always a pleasure to have him along. We'll see you then, and as always, have yourself a good one.
It's a long way to the top.